Reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, text 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, text 11. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tan satha eva bhajami aham mama vartma anuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashah ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashah ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashah ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashah Prabhuji's
Ye yata mam prapadyante
ye yatha mam prapadyante
tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vatmanuvartante manushapata sarvashah
Ye yatha mam prapadyante
ye yatha mam prapadyante
tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vatmanuvartante manushapata sarvashah
ye all who yatha as mam unto me prapadyante surrender tan them tatha so eva certainly bhajami reward aham I mama my vartma path anuvartante follow manushyaha all men partha o son of pritha sarvashah in all respects. Translation and purport by Evangelist A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Translation. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So we shall be repeating the translation. As all surrender unto me,
I
reward them
reward them
accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Purport by Sri Evangelist A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Everyone is searching for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence and as all-pervading Super Soul dwelling within everyone, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in a transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as the Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in a transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Supreme Lord, and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot release the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. Some of them, who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence, return to this material world to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruity workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Yagneshwara, and those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are built, but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless therefore one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, 10th verse. Akamah sarvakamo va mokshakamo udaradhihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whatever one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruity results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadam Mahyam Dadati Svakadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yadav Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Savrajatam Savan Raghunathvanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvitam Savadhutam Parichan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakandaita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namah Om Vishnapadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tirami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna is explaining that, I'll be reading the translation again, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So the first question may arise that why is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Sri Krishna, is telling with this verse? What's the context of this verse? So we see in the beginning of this 4th chapter, the transcendental knowledge, the Lord starts with words that Imam vivasvade yogam broktavana hamabhiyam vivasvan manave praha manuvikshvakave prave. This tells that the Supreme Lord told this Bhagavad Gita, the science of God, to the Vivaswan, the sun god, and Vivaswan told it to his son, Ivan Vivasvate Yogam, Proktavan Aham Avyam, Vivaswan Manave Praha. Vivaswan told it to his son, Manu, and Manu Ikshvakave Pravit. Manu told it to Ikshvaku, who is his son, and we know Ikshvaku as one of the famous personality in the history, as we see in the dynasty of Lord Rama. We see Ikshvaku is a great personality. And the second verse, the Lord says that how this knowledge got, by due course of time, how the knowledge got polluted by different interpretations by the yogis and the other speculators. So the Lord says that I am giving this science again. But Arjuna asks a question that it's quite controversial, right? Look, we see Lord Sri Krishna, he has appeared 5,000 years ago. But here in this 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is telling that I have told this science to Vivaswan, the sun god. So it doesn't make sense that before 5,000 years ago, when Lord Sri Krishna told this science to sun god, it means that before 5,000 years ago, the sun god did not exist. The sun god existed before the 5,000 years ago through all the 4 yugas. But here we come to the fact that Lord Sri Krishna is eternal. It is not that he took this material birth as a materialistic person 5,000 years ago. He is transcendental to all these material modes, and he is spiritual. He is not material. So Arjuna asks a question that how can it be possible that you have told this science to Vivaswan, who is superior to you in terms of age and birth? Then the Lord explains that both you have I and have taken many births, but you don't remember all of them, but I remember. This tells us the difference between the Jiva and Bhagavan. The Lord is all intelligent. He knows everything, but the Jiva Atmas, we too have that nature that we are Satchidananda, that we are eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. But because in contact with this material body, our consciousness is polluted. So our knowledge is polluted. But the Supreme Lord, He is not under the control of this Maya. So He is pure. And the Lord says in a couple of verses that why He has. So after this discussion, the Lord explains how superior He is and why does He appear on this material world. Why does He come to this material world? Some of the famous verses we come across in Bhagavad Gita, such as Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhyutanam Dharmasya Tadatmanam Srujamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharata and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend. And another famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkrutam dharma samstarpanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So here the Lord is confirming that I am appearing. So what is the use of my appearance? If I appear just like an ordinary man, there is a difference between the appearance of an ordinary person and the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that difference between the appearance between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the appearance of the ordinary man, the Lord explains in the next verse, which is Janma karma cha me divyam evam yogeti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjunam. Those who understand my janma, birth, karma, activities as transcendental divyam, who understand this, tyaktva deham punarjanma, after leaving this material birth, they'll be liberated. Naiti mameti sorjunam. The Lord says, to my eternal abode. So in this context, the Lord is telling, so in order to understand the Lord, the first thing is we need to surrender to Lord. So until and unless we surrender, we cannot understand the name, fame, and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here in this context, the Lord is telling, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So our advancement in spiritual life depends upon our way of surrendering, the way we surrender. So we see that not everyone in this material world surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see millions of Jivatmas who are in this world, even in the city of Newcastle. We see less number of devotees coming to the temple. Not all the people are coming to the temple. It means that only some accept Him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and come to the temple to render devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the Lord, further in the 7th chapter, He explains the people who do not surrender unto Him. Namam dushkritino mudha pravadyante naradhama maya apahrita gnanam asurim bhavam ashprita. So the Lord in the 7th chapter, He explains the miscreants who are grossly foolish. Namam dushkritino mudha. Srila Prabhupada translates this word mudha in most of his lectures as rascal. Only rascals don't surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It even tells that even if we don't surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are a rascal, fools. Fools don't surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhadyante naradhama, lowest among mankind. Even it tells that even the lowest people are fools. Maya apahrita gnanam, whose intelligence has been stolen by the illusory energy of God. Most of the time, mind wanders. Why you are surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of God? What is the need to surrender unto Him? Why you are surrendering? You are great. No one is superior to you. Ishvaroham aham bhogi siddhoham bhagavan sukhi. No one is superior to you. You are the strongest person. Mind tries to deviate our consciousness, ourselves, that there is no need to surrender to the Supreme Personality of God, but with intelligence, we need to overcome the mind, to convince the mind that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We need to surrender unto Him. If we don't surrender unto Him, we are no better than rascals in this society. Only fools don't surrender unto Him. And after this verse in the 7th chapter, the next verse, the Lord says, the people who surrender unto Him, Chaturveda bhajante mam janaf sukrit arjuna artho jignasura artharti gnani sa bharadarshava. There are 4 kinds of people who surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Janaf sukrit arjuna, who have developed some piousness in their life. So the Lord is describing the 4 kinds of people. Artho means one who is in distress. Artho jignasu, who is inquisitive to know about the Supreme Lord. Artharti means those who are in poverty, who are devoid of money, who don't have sufficient money. And Gnani, the one situated in knowledge. These are the 4 kinds of people who surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When I was in my high school, I was going through this verse, and I was listening to Srila Prabhupada's lectures on this verse. Srila Prabhupada tells that these Artho and Artharti, these are meant for Grihasthas, and Gnani and Jignasu, these are meant for Brahmacharis, because we see those who are completely renounced, they don't have such sufferings at all. They don't mind, and money is not a matter for them. They can just, if they manage themselves, that's sufficient for them. But in Grihastha life, we see that money is required to maintain their families. So Srila Prabhupada, in this context, he tells this verse. And these are the people who surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who do not surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when I was listening to the lecture of Srila Prabhupada upon this verse, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that the second line of this verse is very important. The second line is Mama Vartmana Vartante Manushya Partha Sarvashaha. everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pratha. So, Srila Prabhupada tells that everyone follows my path in the sense everyone tries to understand Krishna in different ways, such as in Bhagavatam it is said that Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavad iti Shabdati. One understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead in three aspects of life, such as Brahmajyoti, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So, the people who understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Brahmajyoti, so they are mental speculators, they speculate the form of Lord, and their aim of life is just merge into the impersonal effulgence of Lord. And Srila Prabhupada in this purpose amazingly describes that these people are committing spiritual suicide. So, as Jivatma, we are Satchidananda, means eternal, full of knowledge and happy. We are inherent with blissful nature, and it is a common thing for a Jivatma that happiness is there in their life because it is our nature. Srila Prabhupada tells that the nature of Jivatma is like Anandamaya Bhyasa. Everyone tries in this world to be happy, either in materialistic objects or in spirituality. But we know as devotees that the materialistic happiness is temporary, it's not permanent. But happiness in spiritual life is permanent and is eternal. So these people who are aspiring to Brahmajyoti realization, their aim of life is stop all the senses from the objects of sense gratification and just focus on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Speculate upon the form of Lord, speculate upon the name of Lord. They don't know what's the name of Lord, they don't know what's the form of Lord, they are just speculating. So this is foolishness. One cannot speculate the name of Lord, the form of Lord, without knowing what is the name and form of Lord. So even it is not an ordinary thing that we easily understand the name or form of Lord. Like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that Atah Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet graham indriyai sevon mukha hi jivado swayam eva spuratyadaha. It is not so easy to understand the name, fame, qualities of this Supreme Personality of Godhead by gross senses, materially contaminated senses. One has to purify the senses. Na bhavet graham indriye sevon mukha hi jivado, by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How to render that devotional service? Srila Prabhupada says that jihvado means jihva means in Sanskrit it means tongue, and jihvado means by utilizing tongue in chanting the glories of the Lord, chanting the names of the Lord, taking prasadam of the Lord. These are the services by which we utilize this tongue in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then what happens? We saw that it is not so easy to understand the name, fame, qualities of the Lord by bhavet graham indriyahi, by the materialistic senses, by utilizing tongue. We come across that by utilizing the tongue we can develop Krishna consciousness. But how? By utilizing the tongue we can develop Krishna consciousness. It is not that we have to go to a person and aspire from him. It is told that swayam eva spuratyadaha, means it manifests in the heart. It is not that even in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita we come across that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Gunai Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Karayodhaya. This Krishna Prema, it is not something that we need to obtain it from a person or some other person. It is inherent in all the living entities, but one has to revive it by the process of chanting and hearing. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Gunai Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta. By the process of hearing and chanting, we revive the dormant Krishna consciousness which is present in our heart. But by our own endeavor, we cannot revive the Krishna consciousness because we are imperfect beings. So how can we, being imperfect, it's like a blind directing a blind person. A blind cannot direct a blind person because he himself is a blind. So we, by the process of mental speculation, we cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then how can we understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Anyone?
Like you said, this bowed with the tongue, by chanting Hare Krishna and taking prasadam, spiritualizing the senses beginning with the tongue.
Yeah. Yeah. But until how will we know that by utilizing the tongue in knowing the Krishna's name, by chanting Krishna's name, the knowledge gets revived in the heart? How? Means how do we know that by chanting only Krishna's name that the spiritual knowledge is revived? Yeah. By surrendering unto a spiritual master. Only by surrendering unto the spiritual master, the dormant Krishna consciousness which is present in everyone's heart gets revived. Because in Lord Sri Krishna tells in the 5th chapter, I think so, Tadviti pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gnanam gnaninas tattva darshanam. One has to surrender unto the spiritual master, inquire inquisitively from him, upadekshanti. Then, after one inquires inquisitively, the spiritual master gives him instructions. By following those instructions, we revive our Krishna consciousness. Why does the spiritual master give these instructions? Because what the last line they said, verse 5. Tadviti pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshantita gnanam gnaninas tattva darshanaha. Because he's seen the truth, darshanaha means he has seen it. Spiritual master is beyond the 3 modes of material nature. He doesn't come in the 3 modes of material nature. He is spiritual. Sometimes he may appear that he is sometimes he is deceased, or sometimes he is angry, but he is never under the modes of the material nature. Just like sometimes Srila Prabhupada would get very angry on his disciples, and his disciples have a good experience of how his anger is. They would literally shake. He would be like a thunderbolt, it is said, very angry. And when some of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada asked him that, Srila Prabhupada, and it's quite amazing that after Srila Prabhupada chastises his disciples for something wrong they have done, but Srila Prabhupada immediately becomes cool. That's something amazing. And some of his disciples have observed this and asked Srila Prabhupada, how is it possible for you to suddenly calm down from such an anger state to the cool state, cool-minded? And Srila Prabhupada would not speak to his disciples quite normally, as if he hasn't shown any anger. So when the disciples asked him, Srila Prabhupada said that spiritual master is just like an ocean. Externally, the ocean may appear to be producing some waves on the shore or beach, but internally it's very deep. The spiritual master may sometimes appear to be quite chastising, strict, and so on. It depends on the perspective of the disciple. But the spiritual master is very deep. He's very close to Krishna. We sing every day, every morning in the Mangalarati. That's it. We have so much respect to the spiritual master that every day we glorify him. Every day we do arti, we do Guru Puja to him. That respect we give to the spiritual master. So one cannot surrender unto Krishna without the spiritual master. The spiritual master is must required to understand Krishna. And in this purport we see Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, discussing more upon Mayavadis. And in the middle, Srila Prabhupada even says that Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world, also Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as supreme master, another as his friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. So, what is Srila Prabhupada describing over here? That's the theme of this verse. Srila Prabhupada is describing about the rasas we experience in the spiritual world, such as Shanta rasa, Dasya rasa, Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, and Madhurya rasa, which is the perfection of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that this one can involve in this relationship with Krishna by surrendering unto him in that attitude. If one surrenders unto Krishna as a servant, he serves Krishna in the attitude of Dasya rasa, as a servant unto him. If one serves Krishna as a parent, he is given the platform in the spiritual world as a parent of Krishna, such as Madhurya rasa, which is the topmost rasa. By engaging in the service of Krishna with pure love, we can engage ourselves as a lover of Krishna in the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada even says that these rasas are not just present in the spiritual world, but they are also present in the material world. The same Shanta rasa, Dasya rasa, Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, Madhurya rasa, they are even present in the material world, because material world is just a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So everything present in the spiritual world is also present in material world. But Srila Prabhupada says that Dasya rasa, the servant relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world, is permanent, eternal, but in the material world it is temporary. The Sakya rasa, the friendship, which is present in the material world too, we see everyone has friends. But in the spiritual world it is eternal, whereas in the material world it is temporary. The Vatsalya rasa, we see in the spiritual world one can be eternally the parents of Krishna, but in the material world the parents, even they too are temporary, because everyone has to die. Either the son has to die or the parents has to die. So the Vatsalya rasa, even the Vatsalya rasa is temporary, and Madhurya rasa in the material world is quite polluted. And whereas in the spiritual world it's quite pure and it's eternal. In the material world everything is temporary, because it is in the 8th chapter Lord Shri Krishna says, Mahupete punarjanma dukhalaya ashashvatam, because everything in this material world is miserable and temporary. And Mahupete punarjanma dukhalaya ashashvatam naptamante mahatmanaha. So those who are realized souls, they don't find pleasure in this material world. And they go to the spiritual world, leaving this temporary miserable material world, to the spiritual world, because samsiddhim paravam gatim, because they attain the highest perfection of knowledge. So I'll end my class over here, because I was told by Sri Chaitanya Vallabh Prabhu to finish the class by 7:15, so that from 7:15 to 7:30 we may have some reflections, questions, and
Yeah, if there's questions and reflections, then you can, the joints can do it. Otherwise, you can carry on if there's not. But
yeah, I'll finish the class with the final statement of Srila Prabhupada, quoting a verse from Srimad Bhagavad, 2nd Canto, 3rd chapter, 10th verse, which Srila Prabhupada often quotes this verse in due course of Bhagavad Gita many times. Srila Prabhupada, even in his lectures, he has quoted this verse. Akama sarva kamo moksha kamo dharati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. One has to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, at any cost, even if he has no desires, even if he has all desires, even if he has desire for liberation or any kind of desire. One has to surrender to the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, by performing devotional service. I'll just read the translation. Whether one is without desires, the condition of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. So at any cost one has to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no alternative for this. So I'll end my class over here. questions, comments, and reflections? Yes, Prabhu.
Thanks, Ru. Yeah, I have a reflection and a question. So I liked the point you were making about how, Prabhupada, he would be sometimes very angry, and then the next minute he could be very cool. So, and you were saying that he said like the ocean. So the ocean's very deep, and sometimes on the top there's some disturbance, the waves, but actually very, very deep, and underneath nothing is disturbing the ocean. So I thought that was nice, because, sometimes we get angry, and I got angry today with someone on the streets, and it disturbed me for a little while, So I was just reflecting upon that, how great Prabhupada was. And then I was also thinking that, this verse is that as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So if you surrender a certain amount, Krishna will, he will reciprocate with you to that degree. But then I was also thinking that you hear that, if you take one step towards Krishna, he'll take 1,000 steps towards you.
Yeah.
So it seems that Krishna is even more merciful. It's not that just if you surrender to me 1,000 steps, I give you 1,000 steps. He's reciprocating with us more than we deserve.
Yeah.
I wondered if you could share some thoughts on that.
Actually, Srila Prabhupada quoted this statement that if we put one step towards Krishna, Krishna would put 10 steps or 100 steps towards us. So, as we were discussing, it depends upon the attitude of the devotee. If the devotee is sincere, then Krishna may reward him more. It is not ordinary thing that to understand Krishna, unless and until one becomes a devotee. That's why Krishna even tells in Bhagavad Gita that Bhaktya Mam Avijanati. No one understands me, but only a devotee can understand me. So, yeah, it depends upon devotees. We see many people who pretend to be devotees. So, just like the impersonalists, they are not devotees. The yogis, they are not devotees. Bhaktas, they are the real devotees. So, these people, they perform devotional service with some material motives, and so Krishna may fulfill them. But a devotee has no desire, he has no desire except to serve Krishna. So, if a devotee surrenders completely, then Krishna will also reward him according to his service. So, I think it would answer your question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions?
I've got a question, if that's okay. I was just wondering about when you mentioned the different classes and how Krishna reciprocates depending on how the devotee is surrendering.
Yeah.
So in terms of surrender, does that come according to what the devotee chooses to be in terms of the rases? Because I speak for myself that when I see the different rases, I think, Santara sounds a bit dull and not doing much. Maybe Sakyaras sounds more fun. Does it come on the choice of the devotee that I want to be in this type of ras, or is it Krishna who decides what's the rasa in which you're engaged, or is it somebody else who decides?
Yeah. Actually, I was hearing to one of the lectures of His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj that he was telling that though there are 5 rasas, a devotee is not interested in Shanta rasa. He is interested in, actually, devotional service starts with Dasya rasa, by becoming a servant of Krishna. And it may sound like we may become this parent of Krishna or the servant or the lover of Krishna, but as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we need to aim to become the lover of Krishna, to achieve the highest rasa, which is Madhurya rasa. And one can develop oneself gradually to the stage of Madhurya rasa by following the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. One cannot, it's like Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Koi Haive Akuti. and one cannot understand the conjugal relationship between Radha and Krishna without the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami and Raghunatha Goswami. So we may desire to be a parent of Krishna, but we need to have an aim to attain the highest perfection, which is Madhurya Rasa, not to stop at Vatsalya Rasa, Dasya Rasa, or Sakya Rasa. So that should be our aim. Devotional rasa.
Just something came to my mind. I'm not knowledgeable about this subject, but I heard actually, okay, because our gurus are in the chain of gurus which are manjaris in the spiritual world. So when you achieve that highest, which we are having from our parampara, that all other rasas are already included there.
Yeah.
So that even gopis, they can change and sometimes play, be in the Sakya Ras, because it's included. It's in this highest, all others are included. I compared this as okay, interesting.
Yeah.
It's a deep subject,
It's like Rasavarjan, Rasopyasa, when we attain the highest pleasure, the ordinary pleasures are also included in it. Though these are not ordinary pleasures, but by experiencing the highest level, even the lower levels are also included in it. Yes, Prabhu?
Yeah, I was just going to, just to add to that, because Madhurya Ras also includes all of the others, like Vatsalya, Sakya, Dasya. And so therefore the most important one is Dasya. So therefore for us it's most important to develop this mood of Dasya Ras, and that's the foundation. And in fact, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, as the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, there isn't any other rasa that you can have with Lord Chaitanya other than Dasya Ras. But if you develop your Dasya Ras to Lord Chaitanya, then your constitutional position, which is there already, Lord Chaitanya, he will reveal what your eternal constitutional position is. So the main thing for us to do is to develop that, that Dasya Ras, that servitude. So there's a nice verse by Advaita Acharya, and he says that I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya, a servant of Lord Chaitanya. I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya and a servant of his servants. So that's a really nice verse. I used to chant that one quite often, It's a really nice verse. We should remember we're servants of Lord Chaitanya and a servant of his servants.
Yeah.
And by developing that mood, then everything else will come from that.
Yeah. We need to gradually elevate ourselves to the Madhurya Rasa. We cannot directly exhibit Madhurya Rasa, otherwise, we become Sahajiyas. We see so many Sahajiyas, They think themselves to be gopis and they enact themselves as gopis and do all kinds of nonsense. But we, because we are coming from an authorized sampradaya, we know the process of elevating ourselves. We may not end up, but somehow or other we come to the consciousness, we elevate ourselves to the Madhurya Rasa. Yeah. Any more?
I also, I personally kind of had a problem with that verse, how much you surrender, that Krishna will reward accordingly.
Yeah.
I always, when I read that verse, I had a fear inside of me, because I felt, I'm not able to surrender much. So how much Krishna will respond? I all the time have kind of fear, like, oh God, he will not love me enough because I'm not able to surrender enough, And then when you hear this, what Chaitanya said, when you make one step, he will make 100, that was always like, kind of really, he's compassionate, it's not just like a math, And I was thinking, like, why Krishna is saying like that, maybe to encourage you to go in a deeper understanding of that relationship with him. The more you love, the naturally more love comes back.
Yeah.
But always I feel like little, like, I'm not able. What? He will not love me or what? Just share it. It's not a question.
Yes. Any more questions?
Yeah, I was just thinking in relation to what Shama was saying there, that it's a bit like, as we advance in devotional service, then our mood of surrender and service should be increasing. But it's like, it's like a baby. When a baby is just a baby, the parents just encourage it, and it's like it's falling over and you know, the parents aren't expecting too much from it because it's a baby. But as it gets a bit older, you know, then like, you know, you've got to start doing some chores around the house. You know, okay, I want you to clean your room and, you know, go and clean the car, do the weeding in the garden. And it's like, but it's natural. It's like progressive. As one goes older, okay, now you know you can start taking some responsibilities. Okay, get yourself a part-time job and you can help with the household. And so it's natural, isn't it? You know, as we surrender, and it's surrender is like a painful word because we think it's surrender usually means like giving everything up. Okay, I surrender. But we should also remember that surrendering to Krishna is actually the thing that brings us the highest happiness. Right now, because I'm in marathon consciousness, so I'm, you know, trying to surrender to distributing Prabhupada's books and being in that mood of just surrender, because, you know, it means you have to give everything up. So Vijay Prabhu, he was saying that a lot of devotees who've done book distribution, they remember their days of book distribution as the happiest days of their life. And he said, and the reason for that is because book distribution requires surrender. And actually, surrendering to Krishna brings the highest happiness. And that service particularly requires a lot of surrender. So we're fearful of surrender. I don't want to give everything up. But if we have experience when we've surrendered to Krishna, we've also realized and experienced that that actually brings the highest happiness. And it's actually not surrendering to Krishna that brings the misery. We think if I don't surrender to Krishna, then I'll be happy. So we get tricked by the mind, don't we? But it's actually when we say, okay, all right, Krishna, I surrender to you, then that's when Krishna gives the highest happiness. So anyway, I encourage everyone to try and do some book distribution. I had a day today that was really, really difficult, and it was just like, oh my God, you know, nothing's going to happen. But somehow or other, if you just carry on going, then and Krishna, he does reciprocate. So I think it's important for us all to get that experience, that, and we all have had that experience, I'm sure, that when we do surrender to Krishna, he does reciprocate, and actually it brings happiness. But surrendering also isn't a one-time thing. It's not that, like, yes, I surrendered once. Back in 2013, I surrendered to Krishna. So it's important for us to remember that surrender is an ongoing thing. And the main surrender is whether to serve Krishna or to serve Maya. And that's something we have to do it moment by moment, isn't it? We have to make the right choice. Anyway, just
why we are afraid of surrender? It hurts. Have you
because
been
of
through
our
distribution?
because of our egoism, we don't surrender to Krishna. That's simple. Because we want to be enjoyers. So if I want to be the enjoyer, so why will I surrender to others? With humility, we surrender to others. So without destroying the egoism which is present in our hearts, we cannot surrender. The surrender starts from humility.
We just had a comment from Kasturi Manjari Devidasi. Very nice lecture, Shrestha Prabhu. Thank you for sharing this transcendental knowledge.
Come to the temple.
She's here in the form of her daughter.
She sent her representative.
Came by walk.
And also devotional service. What we say that you should not think that you should, like, I should gain something, or not, I'm afraid, or I'm not able. So it's unintentional, and not expecting anything. That's pure devotional service, and that's what is required.
Yeah.
So that's the aim. So if you pure devotional service, then you will not be. So if there is any lacking, then there is no so much for the devotional service. So devotion to Krishna. That's what's mentioned everywhere. Unintentional for any benefit or gain or happiness, or so you just have to do it carry on with love.
Yes,
So
Yes, Mataji.
I found that the more you go a spiritual life, the more surrender is required in a certain area of yourself. And I was lamenting to one friend, and then he wrote me a letter, and he said, "You're not suffering because you don't have your ideals. You're suffering because you're holding these desires inside of yourself, and you don't want to surrender to a higher will. You don't want to give up these desires. Because I have certain desires, and I think if they will be fulfilled, then I will be happy. I see inside of myself, I'm not able to let it go. It's so deep. This sense enjoyment is so deeply rooted in us.
Yes.
And I'm just like looking for the day when I will be able to say, okay, I give it up. It's so hard. At least I find hard. Maybe you might find much easier.
Yeah, there is a story in this regard that in Ramayana it comes that when sage Ashtavakra, he visited the palace of King Janaka. So the ministers of King Janaka, they were making fun of Ashtavakra Muni, because his name indicates that Ashta means 8, Vakra means curves, his body has 8 curves. So they were just making jokes on him. And King Janaka, he was quite loyal, and so he asked Ashtavakra Muni that how to get out of this material attachment. And immediately, the Ashtavakra Muni, he just ran out of the palace. He ran out of the palace and he caught hold of a tree, and he was telling, "Tree, please hold me, please leave me, please leave me." He is holding the tree and he is asking the tree to leave me. So he then described that to Janaka Maharaj that it's we who hold these material attachments, and we say, when will I be relieved of these material attachments? It is in our hands to get relieved of these material attachments. This is one story from Ramayana.
Okay, I think we can stop then.
Yeah.
Unless there's any more for them.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Chaitanya Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity to deliver a class. It would mostly inspire me to develop spiritually. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for a wonderful class. Thank you.
All glories to Sri Guru and Gaura. All glories to Sri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. His Grace Bhakta Shresh Prabhu ki Jai.